Morning and welcome to the preview event for Religion, Philosophy and Ethics. In the session today, I'm just going to go over what is involved in studying RPE at Bede Sixth Form and hopefully give you a taster of it so that you can make the right decisions about which course you'd like to take in September. If you do have any questions about it, please submit them via the Q&A function and I'll answer them at the end of the session. So firstly, I wanted to introduce myself. My name's Tamara Pierce and I teach RPA here at Bede. I also teach on the history course as well. I've been at Bede for about 7 years now, and my favourite thing about Bede is how small and friendly it is. My favourite thing about RPE is about how everything isn't right or wrong. There's no right answers in RPE, it's all up for debate. As long as you can support your answer, we can debate it, we can have a discussion about it. I also think it's a brilliant facilitating subject, and what I mean by that is it goes hand in hand with a lot of other subjects. So whether you want to take a mix of subjects, whether you want to go for sciences with a humanities course, or you want to go for more humanities-based subjects, RPE will fit quite nicely in there. One of the main questions I get about RPE is what actually is it? So it's quite different to what you might have studied at school in terms of religious education or religious studies. RPE stands for Religion, Philosophy and Ethics, and it's a mix of those three subjects. RPE asks you to answer the big questions in life, such as, is there a God? Why are humans here? And how should we make moral decisions in our everyday life? Add in a little bit of other subjects, such as history, sociology, law, physics, criminology and media, and then you've got RPE. So what are the lessons like in RPE? A lot of it is about discussing and debating. So you won't find a lot of teachers standing at the front telling you what you need to know. It's about giving you the relevant information and then you formulate your own ideas based on that. You do not have to be very confident with speaking when we first start. That's going to be something that we will work on. And that's a common fear that a lot of students have about RPE. Do I need to be confident to stand at the front and debate with somebody? The answer is no. That's something we're going to work on. And we'll start off with very small, maybe paired up discussions about what you feel about the topics that we study. So I'll go over now the course content and what you're going to study if you take the course here. So it's a 2-year course, and across those 2 years, you'll do 3 units. So Unit 1 is Philosophy, Unit 2 is Ethics, and Unit 3 is Religion. So we'll start off in Year 1 with Philosophy, and I'm going to introduce you to some of the key thinkers that you'll need to get really familiar with, like Aristotle and Plato. In this, we really start to look at those big questions. Does God exist? What are the arguments for and against the existence of God? Why is there evil in the world? And if there is a God, why does this God allow evil to happen? Is there free will within this? And does original sin have anything to do with that? What are miracles? Is there any evidence that miracles actually exist? What are the arguments for and against them? We'll then look on to ethics, and I think ethics is the one that people feel least familiar with, but it's the one that you should be most familiar with because it affects your everyday life. So in terms of ethics, we're looking at how should humans make moral decisions, and it's something that thinkers have looked at across time. How should they make those decisions that affect everyday life? So we look at Kant as an example and Kantian ethics. We look at how we can apply those thinkers to everyday decisions such as business and euthanasia. And then the final thing we'll look at in Year 1 is religion. This unit's called Developments in Christian Thought. So we're looking at how has Christianity changed over the years? How has Christianity developed? A really interesting topic that you'll look at in Unit 3 in Year 1 is death and afterlife. So how have Christians developed how they think that you get to the afterlife? How have they developed what they think happens in terms of death? Then in Year 2, it's about deepening and strengthening that knowledge. So adding more complex situations to what you've already learned. We will review everything that you've done in year one, so we'll keep going back to year one and then adding the knowledge on top of that. So in terms of philosophy, in year one you learned about does God exist, and you'll have formulated an argument on that. In year two, we're going to look at the nature of God, which is how do we as humans know God? What kind of characteristics does God have? Is God omnipotent, omniscient, benevolent? And if so, does that cause any problems for Christians when they're believing in God? In Unit 2, ethics, we'll look at sexual ethics, meta-ethics and conscience. So for sexual ethics, we'll be looking at things like relationships and how should we make ethical decisions within relationships, and applying that to everyday situations today, like homosexuality. For developments in Christian thought, we'll continue to look at those developments in Christianity, but it will be more about the challenges that Christianity has faced. So, for example, pluralism and secularism. So secularism looks at how has Christianity developed in a society that is becoming increasingly more secular or has atheist beliefs. Does Christianity have a role to play in education? Should it play a role in our government today? And pluralism looks at Christianity's relationship with other religions. Do Christians have a duty to convert other religions? Should they be doing that, or should they see that it's many different paths to salvation? So that's what you'll do across the 2 years, or just a brief snapshot of what you'll do across the 2 years. I think there's something for everybody in there, and definitely a debate that everybody would like to get involved with. I actually asked my first years about which debate that they enjoyed the most out of all the topics they've done in year one, and we had lots of different things from all three. So there's different areas depending on what your interests are that you might like to do. In terms of assessment, how is this assessed? Well, it's an exam-based subject where you will do essays. So there'll be 3 exams, and each one of those exams is 2 hours long. Within that, you'll write 3 essays. Now, essays that we do in RPE are like written debates. So you will start off by giving your line of argument, and then you will try and prove your points and argue against other thinkers. So we will start off by learning how to debate, and then we'll move on to how do you actually write down your thoughts in terms of a debate. I'm looking for students with good literacy skills, but essay writing isn't something I want you to worry about, because you will have lessons inbuilt to help you feel more confident with the essay writing side of RPE. So what else am I looking for in terms of students? Well, I'm looking for a student who doesn't want to accept things at face value. So a student who looks at situations and questions them. So asks the bigger questions, the questions that need to be asked. Sometimes that can be known as critical thinking skills. So do you watch something, say, in the news today and ask questions about why and how that happens? I'm also looking for students who are interested in current affairs. Sometimes people see RPE as something that's happened in the past. Philosophers years and years ago have thought of these things and I just need to learn about it. But it's not necessarily that. Yes, we learn about the thinkers, but we learn about applying it to everyday scenarios. So are you interested in current affairs? Will you be able to ask questions about those current affairs? I'm also looking for people who want to learn how to debate, people who want to learn to give their opinions on things. What will you get in return for doing this? Well, you get some fantastic analytical and evaluation skills. You will learn how to debate, which is fantastic because it means that you can go home and debate with family members and friends. You'll get independent thought, so you won't just do kind of what you're told to do. You might question those things, and that's a really good skill for both work and higher education, thinking about things before you make a decision. That's really relevant today because you might need to vote one day, and you might need to think critically about what those politicians are promising you. RPE teaches you to do exactly that. It makes you a better student in other subjects because it is a facilitating subject. So it might be something that you do in RE lends itself to another subject, and then it strengthens your knowledge in that. It might be that the essay writing skills that you learn in RPE help you in history. It also makes you a better global citizen because you are able to make better decisions about your life. You are able to apply the things we've learned about moral decisions. So that's kind of the course in a nutshell. If we have any questions, I'll answer them now, but I wanted to say thank you for listening, and I'm really excited to meet everybody in September.
One question. Does RPE go well with sociology and maybe criminology or psychology?
Okay, yeah, it's fantastic with those subjects. So like I said at the start, you can mix this up with lots of different subjects because it has little tasters of those subjects. So say, for example, in sociology, you'll look at Marxism, and in year 2 of RPE, we also look at Marxism. In psychology, you'll look at Freud, and in year 1 of RPE, we look at Freud as well. So in terms of course content, they are quite similar, but I would say that they go better together because of the skills that you're going to need. So in each one of those subjects, you will need to think critically, you will need to analyse, evaluate, and then obviously your essay writing skills are going in there as well. So I would suggest that it really goes along quite well with all of those subjects, so sociology, criminology and psychology.